Good YouTube, it's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV back at y'all with another one. So we have some interesting news. Now WBC World Boxing Council President MAURICIO SULAIMAN and the WBC are now claiming that they recognize only undefeated lightweight world champion superstar boxer Devin the Dream Haney, who is 27 wins, no losses, no draws, 15 wins by way of knockout, 23 years of age, 5'8" with a 72-inch arm reach. Now they're claiming that they only recognize Devin Haney as their lightweight champion. Okay? This coming on the heels of Devin Haney having a long, extensive meeting face-to-face with 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer, who currently is the undisputed super middleweight world champion, widely considered to be the face of the sport of boxing, top 3, if not number 1 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, in Saul Canelo Alvarez. 57 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws, 39 big wins by way of knockout, 31 years of age, 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach. Ironically, Devin Haney is taller and longer and more rangy than Canelo Alvarez, but Canelo Alvarez fights at a bigger weight class. Okay, now we know Canelo Alvarez is the darling in the eyes of the WBC, and so the WBC, they decided that after they had the photo and after they witnessed Canelo Alvarez and Devin Haney sharing the moment face to face, and Canelo Alvarez giving Devin Haney words of encouragement, now they're claiming that Devin Haney is the sole champion. They don't recognize newly crowned, undefeated, unified lightweight world champion, Australian star boxer, George Kambosos Jr., who is 20 wins, no losses, no draw, 10 wins by way of knockout. George Kambosos Jr. is 28 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 69, 70-inch arm reach. He shocked the world November 27th, when he defeated former unified lightweight world champion, superstar boxer Teofimo Lopez at Madison Square Garden, New York, New York. With that said, the WBC had took to social media and stated that George Kambosos Jr. should be recognized as undisputed. Now, we know the history that the undisputed belt was introduced to the sport of boxing because of one Saul Canelo Alvarez. They didn't want Canelo Alvarez to have to be obligated to fight mandatories, in which he had a guy who was his mandatory and undefeated 2-division world champion, superstar boxer Jamal Lyons Only Charlo, who is 32 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. Jamal Charlo is 31 years of age, 6 feet tall with a 74-inch arm reach, okay? At middleweight, at 160, Canelo Alvarez had a mandatory in Jamal Charlo. In order for them to help Canelo Alvarez maneuver around that mandatory, they decided that they were going to elevate Jamal Charlo elevate Jamal Charlo to the WBC full champion, okay, the super champion, and they were going to franchise Canelo Alvarez. This is the first time we heard anything of a franchise title. This is the first time we've ever heard of a franchise title being introduced to the sport of boxing, where they stated it was essentially a trophy, okay? This was a trophy. This was not an acknowledgement of an official title. It was a trophy, okay? This took place June 26th of 2019, okay? So June 26th of 2019 is when they introduced this. Oddly enough, Danny Jacobs, who was the champion, the IBF champion at middleweight, is who Canelo Alvarez fought Cinco de Mayo weekend. A month later is when he was franchised. And oddly enough, Canelo Alvarez, he didn't even stay in the division. He left the division, and in November, he moved up and he fought Sergey Kovalev at 175. So it was unnecessary to franchise him because he never put himself in position to need it to be franchised. Okay, so they introduced the franchise title to the sport of boxing for no apparent reason, because the next month when they introduced it, see, he fought Danny Jacobs in a unification bout Cinco de Mayo weekend, May, okay? So he fought Danny Jacobs May 4th of 2019. June 26th, okay, the very next month of 2019, they franchised Canelo Alvarez, so he didn't have to fight his mandatory in Jermall Charlo, and elevated Jermall Charlo to the WBC Super Champion. Okay, at that time, Canelo Alvarez, he held the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF after he got a unanimous decision over Danny Jacobs. Okay, but oddly enough, in September, he was supposed to fight, and they thought he was going to stay at 160, and he opted not to fight in September. He then moved up to light heavyweight, okay, and then he fought Sergey Kovalev at 175. He dared to be great, become a 4-division champion, okay? So he never needed to be franchised, and he never fought Demetrius Boo Boo Andrade. That's the reason why they were claiming they did it, because Demetrius Andrade was the WBO champion, and Canelo Alvarez was claiming that he wanted to be undisputed at middleweight. So the reason they tagged Canelo Alvarez with franchise was to, according to the WBC, to allow him to fight Demetrius Andrade for undisputed and not have to fight Jermall Charlo as his mandatory. Well, Canelo Alvarez, he didn't do either. He didn't fight Demetrius Andrade for undisputed, and he didn't fight Jermall Charlo. He moved up to light heavyweight. He fought Sergey Kovalev. Then he came down to 168, super middleweight. He fought Caleb Smith, okay, for his belt, okay. So now he became a 4-division champion, right? Because he jumped over 68 when he fought Sergey Kovalev. He fought at 60. He was a 2-division champion when he fought Danny Jacobs. Then he jumped to 175, fought Sergey Kovalev, but for the WBO title at light heavyweight. Then he came down. He fought no, he did fight Rocky Fielding already. So he was a 4-division champion at that point in time. So nonetheless, he didn't need to be franchised. So now, after we see Canelo Alvarez and we see Sergey and Canelo Alvarez and Devin Haney come face to face after they already stated that they believe that they took it as, and they believe that, George Kambosos Jr. should be recognized as the undisputed champion, just like the WBC does. They initially, when they introduced this franchise title with Canelo Alvarez, they said you cannot, it's an acknowledgement of your accomplishments. It's an award, not an official belt. So, but it would give you the opportunity to wiggle around being mandated to fight on mandatory challenges. So with that said, they stated you can't win or lose it. So now we know the rest is history. Okay, because August of that year, now the Canelo Alvarez was franchised in June of 2019. In August of 2019, another fight took place between 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 3-division world champion, unified lightweight world champion, Ukrainian superstar boxer Vasyl High-Tech Lomachenko, who is now 16 wins, 2 losses, no draws, 11 wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'6" with a 66-inch arm reach. He took on Olympic gold medalist, British superstar title contender, lightweight title contender Luke Campbell for the vacant WBC title that was vacated by 4-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer Mikey Garcia, who dared to be great, moved up to welterweight to challenge Errol Spence. Okay, so Mikey Garcia was the belt holder who vacated his belt. And Luke Campbell and Vasyl Lomachenko fought for the WBC vacant title. That Devin Haney was supposed to fight Luke Campbell for the vacant WBC title, but they allowed Lomachenko to do so, and Devin Haney was going to be his mandatory. Well, Bob Arum, legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter of Vasyl Lomachenko, made it abundantly clear to Matchroom CEO and promoter Eddie Hearn, who co-promotes with DHP, Devin Haney Promotions, father, trainer, manager, CEO of DHP, Bill Haney. Okay, so with that said, Bill Haney, Eddie Hearn, they were sitting with, obviously, Luke Campbell's an Eddie Hearn matchroom fighter, and they were sitting in the meeting in the press conference leading up to the press conference for Lomachenko, Luke Campbell, in which Eddie Hearn and Bill Haney, they asked Bob Arum, are they going to allow Lomachenko to fight Devin Haney, who's going to be his mandatory after, should he get past Luke Campbell? And Bob Arum simply told them, absolutely not. Devin Haney signed with the wrong promotional company, should have signed with us. That's not our fault. And we are going to petition the WBC, World Boxing Council, President MAURICIO SULAIMAN, the board of 32 members, to be franchised. Now, remember, you can't win or lose it. It's an accomplishment that the WBC is supposed to seek you out, not you seek them out. Well, that's exactly what he did. Lomachenko became franchised, okay, and Devin Haney was elevated to the WBC super champion, okay. Now, follow me as we go. Lomachenko then waited, instead of fighting Devin Haney, his mandatory, he then waited to face off against the winner of the unification, winner of IBF at the time, lightweight world champion, star boxer, Richard Comey took on superstar boxer Teofimo Lopez, December 14th of 2019. Okay, so that year, December 14th of 2019, at Madison Square Garden, Teofimo Lopez beats Richard Comey, knocks him out. Then we know Lomachenko ends up fighting Teofimo Lopez in unification. Teofimo Lopez wins the unanimous decision against Vasyl Lomachenko. He then petitions to be the franchise champion. Now remember, you cannot win or lose the franchise title. Well, he beats Lomachenko. You're not supposed to be able to pass the torch. You understand? Pass the mantle. It's not that type of situation, right? Well, the WBC decides to oblige him, and they give it to Teofimo Lopez, okay? Now, follow me. Devin Haney is still the super champion, okay? Just like Jermall Charlo is still the super champion, okay? So, with that said, nobody considers Canelo Alvarez to be the middleweight WBC champion right now because you can't win or lose the franchise title, right? Correct. Okay, so with that said, Canelo Alvarez hasn't lost since he was franchised, so how did he lose the title? So that would mean Jermall Charlo is not the super WBC middleweight champion. It would still be Canelo Alvarez because the rules is that he can keep that title as he moves through the weight classes in the ranking system. Okay, now follow me. So nobody considers Jermall Charlo an email champion. So with that said, now Teofimo Lopez, he fights his IBF mandatory in George Kambosos Jr. and he loses to George Kambosos Jr. Okay, split decision. George Kambosos Jr., according to his team, never petitioned the WBC to be franchised, but they decided that they were going to recognize him as the franchise champion. And then MAURICIO SULAIMAN does interviews in which he states that George Kambosos Jr. should be recognized as the undisputed champion because the franchise title is an official title. Okay. Now, remember, you can't win or lose it. The rules are changing as they go. Okay. So where does that leave Devin Haney? That sparked up a whole situation, okay? That sparked up an issue. He said Devin Haney's a proud champion, okay? So with that said, now you move fast forward. Now, this past weekend, you had Chocolatito face off against Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. He faced off against Martinez. And Canelo Alvarez, Devin Haney were present. They came face to face. They had a long conversation. The WBC recognized this. Okay, the WBC acknowledged this. And so what did the WBC do? Immediately take the social media, put pictures up of Devin Haney and Canelo Alvarez, and they acknowledge Devin Haney as the WBC lightweight champion. And now they're stating that, you know, they're not recognizing George Kambosos Jr. as the WBC super champion. He's the franchise champion. Okay, Devin Haney is the proud WBC super champion now. So they flip-flop in this manner. So now Canelo Alvarez is present. They want to be recognized with what Canelo Alvarez is doing. So now they're recognizing Devin Haney as well as the WBC champion. Amazing, isn't it? So there's talks that Devin Haney could possibly face off against George Kambosos Jr. in official undisputed showdown June 4th of this year. Okay, but we know that George Kambosos Jr. is also looking for a tuna fight, stay busy fight, in which he'll fight, you know, an opponent yet to be named, and then he'll look to fight possibly fight against upcoming lightweight Mexican superstar boxer Ryan Garcia in the fall. So in Australia. So he's looking to have a homecoming fight in Australia. Devin Haney is willing to oblige him. He's willing to maneuver around Devin Haney. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.